I think the reason why we can never really get over our exes and old relationships because we romanticize the good parts too much and we make excuses for the negative parts. Like like the obvious negatives and the obvious toxicity of the relationship. We make excuses for those people because we really love those people and we were doing it for a long time. But I think if you look at the relationship for what it is, you're gonna realize that it was a normal relationship. It wasn't nothing crazy spectacular about it, but it was a building block. And I think you don't want to forget those people because you put so much effort and time into it. You put so much of yourself into it that you hope that those people appreciate it, recognize how much effort that went into making this relationship work. And I want to tell you, they didn't. Because if they did, then they would have left you in the first place. But they did. So they didn't appreciate you enough. And I think you need to start appreciating yourself more by moving on from that relationship. How you move on from a relationship that's already been done. You gotta stop romanticizing it and being honest about what happened. Even with the things that you contribute to the end of the relationship, if you did, right? I think that sometimes we think that, that these people that leave us or these people who end the relationship or this toxic relationship, that they're going through the same process of grieving or the same process of dealing with the relationship, the ending of the relationship the same. Some people don't. Some people never really go back and look at their relationship. They're just moving forward, right? Going back to that, it's not something that's probably uncomfortable for them. But I think the problem is us, the people that's left picking up the pieces of ourselves. And we think that we gotta go back and look at what we did wrong and go back and look at what happened to the relationship that made it end in the first place. And I think that's still a good tactic, but I think we spend too much time there. I think you realize that person left, and we gotta understand that person left. That person not for us, right? They were good times. We don't have to overdo it, right? But there were a lot of obvious negatives. There were a lot of obvious things that went wrong in the relationship for it to end. That person wasn't as magical and spectacular as we thought. Right? That person is probably not thinking about it as much or at all when they ended the relationship because they were thinking about themselves and not how they hurt you, regardless this guy ain't trying to hurt you. But they are, and they knew it would. And that's a sad thing because you really put a lot of effort and time into a person to only for them to turn around and basically leave you high and dry. And nobody wants to be left high and dry, but it happens, right? And it doesn't mean that person's a bad person, but it's a person that's not suitable for you. That's not a person that can be trustworthy in the long run. And in a way, they did you a favor. But it's hard to recognize they did you a favor because there's so much emotion that comes with it. Negative and positive, especially when you get your heart broken like that. And it's gonna be intense for a while. So that person's always gonna be on your mind to the point that you start thinking, if I'm hurting that bad, then maybe it should have worked. And no, just a reminder that it's a reason why it don't work. It's a reason why you shouldn't be with that person. That nobody should put anybody through that much pain and think that that's the best you can do in a relationship. If somebody puts you through a heartbreak level pain, you should never go back to those people because somebody that really cares about you, love you, would never put you through that so much pain, right? And I think that sucks, that we think so low of ourselves sometimes that the best we can do is a person that causes pain, a person that we did love at one point, but ended the relationship in such a fashion that causes to be basically depressed, anxiety feel, stress, having trust issues, etc. Why we go back to those people? Why do we romanticize those people? Those people wasn't thinking about us when they was making these negative decisions in our relationships. These people weren't thinking about us when they ended the relationship or how the relationship ended. Or if you had to end the relationship because of the toxicity of the relationship. But I urge you to recognize, as much as you romanticize the positives, you need to start romanticizing the negatives of the relationship. Because the negatives is what is the reason why the relationship is no longer there. The negatives is the reason why that person is no longer in your life and shouldn't be in your life. And that's a hard pill to swallow because you put so much effort in trying to love somebody who didn't know how to love themselves, but also couldn't really love you the way you needed them to love you.